there was a little bit of there was validation on that side as well, which is it's just cool too.
Yeah, yeah, it is cool. The thing that always cracks me up is that people want scientific proof, but do they really understand what the scientific process is?
I don't think so.
I don't think they do either because, it's like, I mean, it's been a while since I've studied science, but it seems to me that you have to be able to duplicate results.
Right.
So, um,
Yes, Gwen.
yeah,
The white
yes.
noise after about I would say like a minute or two, the white noise starts to make me feel like I get like a headache on the side of my head, and I have to actually leave a room when it's going on.
Yeah,
It's
it does for me too. Doing the Estes method, which I've only done a couple of times, um, it can be really overwhelming. Like I do get nauseous. I get kind of lightheaded. I feel like I'm listening so hard that maybe I'm missing something. It can really mess with me. So I'm not a big fan of the Estes method, but I do know that people who work with it well do get good results.
yeah. The Estes method. I've done it twice. The first time it was interesting because I'd never done it before, and when you put the noise canceling phones on, I automatically started having like people talking to me directly, like
Mhm.
"hello" and stuff like that. The second time scared the heck out of me. It really,
Oh,
really did. I forget where we were. I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And I put on the blindfold. I put on the headphones. Within 30 seconds, someone ran up into my face. Like I could see them with my eyes closed. I could see the person's face and screamed at me. And I was like, "Okay, I'm done." Took the headphones off. Took the blindfold off. I'm like, "Yeah, somebody else can do this. I'm good." And
that would
somebody's like,
do it
"Oh
for
my
me.
God."
Yeah.
I was like, this woman ran right up to me, looked me right in the face, and screamed at me. And I was like, "Okay, that's enough. Here you go. Somebody else can do it now."
What did she scream? Was it words or was it just a scream?
Honestly, I didn't stick around long enough to try to determine it because it was like loud. Like it was like one of those. It was almost like a scream from like a movie, so to speak.
Okay.
Like one of those. Oh my god, I'm about to get taken out kind of a scream. But it was just so crazy. I just heard the and I saw this face come flying in, and just the scream was way too much. You know.
So Gwen says, interestingly enough, I
Mm.
love the Estes method and I do well with it. I just have to accept that it's going to make me dizzy and nauseous.
No, you know what? I agree with you.
Yeah,
It's an amazing method.
it
It's just
is. Yeah.
for me, ever since I had that one interaction when that spirit ran up right into my face and yelled at me, that was enough. And I just took everything off and gingerly handed it to the person next to me and go, "Okay, it's your turn." And I haven't gone back to it since. I've been
I
in a
can
room.
understand why.
Yeah, I've been in a room where people have done these method, and I've seen spirit like show up behind them and like lean over
Mhm.
them, and I had that happen to me, and I was like, "Watch out!" And the thing ran across, like, shot across the table and went inside of me, and decided to. I ended up channeling it, not by choice. Really, and that was an interesting method. I mean, you know, I'm very fortunate to have had the opportunity to be able to channel spirits as well. I mean,
Mhm.
that was a whole different part of the spiritual journal, being able to share space in my body with another being, and I've had that happen a few times, and it's weird. The dream state you get put into when a spirit is using you as a conduit
Mhm.
is very, very. um I think I was in awe the first time it happened, and
Yeah.
uh, it's I don't even know what to say about the channeling. It was it's nice to be able to let somebody use your body to speak,
Mhm.
but you also need to try to keep control on the same side, and I wasn't doing a good job keeping control on the other side. I was trying to find my way back to my body, if it makes any sense, and
I've been
I don't know.
channeling. Yeah, I've been channeling for 19 years.
Okay.
And I've channeled probably, I don't know, maybe 1,000 times at this point.
Oh, well, you got a
And
lot more money your belt than I do. Yeah. I didn't even
um,
know I could do it. It just
yeah,
happened randomly on an investigation, and the spirit decided it wanted to use me as a conduit, and started talking to my wife. And she thought my wife was a lost love of hers from back in the 1800s. So it was a very interesting conversation, I guess, on that side. And I've never heard the conversation
sure.
because she never played it for me.
Yeah, so that was going to be my next question is
Yeah.
when you have channeled, do you remember it afterwards?
No, I get glimpses
Okay.
occasionally of things that have happened. The first one I have not, because I don't remember it. All I remember is like walking down a hallway and trying doors, kind of like a long corridor hallway that has doors on both sides. And when I finally found one, I opened the door, went through, and that's when I came back into my body. And I guess at least 15, 20 minutes had gone by or something along
Okay.
those lines. And my wife Jean was like, you know what happened? I go, I have no idea, honestly. So she told me all about it. And it's the second time I do remember like glimpses, because I was on a ship. I was doing an
Okay.
investigation on a ship for some friends of mine that asked me to come down and use me as a conduit. Hey, how's it
Hey, show.
going? And that one, the spirit was very, very strong. It was almost felt like it was elemental in nature, because it was a next level spirit. So, and my hands were like stuck to a table while I was speaking.
Okay.
I could see through my eyes and I could hear, but I couldn't control the words that were coming out. If that makes any sense.
And that makes all the sense in the world to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
then
totally get it.
a friend of mine who was sitting next to me in the chair, who was almost my size. I'm a big size guy. The energy coming out of me almost knocked him clear out of the chair. And he was over 300 pounds himself, and he was almost knocked him completely out of the chair that he was sitting in next to me. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I can
and
vouch for the fact that you're a big guy. I've met you.
yep, you definitely can. I'm not hiding it. I mean, it helped. It helped with former careers and whatnot. But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, it was the energy coming through can be incredibly powerful,
oh, I
and
agree with you.
it can be any kinds of things. I know I'm very careful about who I let in. I mean, I have my guides as a gatekeeper, and if they're not comfortable, I'm not comfortable. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that makes sense. A while ago, I decided to stop turning off my communication beacon, and I'm on all the time. Maybe it's
Wow.
not a good idea, because I mean, I try to stay grounded as much as I can, and I know it's very important in spirituality to stay grounded and stay focused.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm focused and I got my head in the clouds all at the same time. So it's definitely a conflicting energy at times. And sometimes I forget, hey man, you're turned on all the time. Your chakra is wide open, and you're open to receiving message all the time, because I don't want to miss out on if somebody has something to say. You know.
When did you discover that you had the ability to talk with spirits?
Okay, so that was probably it was a while, long time ago. We were on an investigation, and I heard a woman talking to me, and I go, "Are you talking to me?" And she was like, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay." And I go, "Can you see me?" She's like, "Yes." I go, and I asked, "What color shirt am I wearing?" And she said, "Green." And I was wearing like I forget what shirt it was, but it was like a green, like Tree of Life type of shirt that I had on it. Like I like
Okay.
all these crazy shirts, and I'm like, "Okay, that just happened." And I'm like, and then it sparked from there. And every time I would go to a place, as soon as the spirits realized I was able to talk to them, they'd come running up, "Hi, hi," and like I get like kids pulling my shirt, or people, and being a big guy, I get a lot of interaction with children and women spirits, and like the alpha males in the house will sometimes try to like come at me or try to
Okay.
they try to show that they're the dominant spirit. Obviously, it happens, unfortunately, because a lot of the spirits we encounter are from timelines before ours. I mean,
Right.
sometimes you encounter some that are linear because they may have passed away, during our time on this earth. But a lot of them that you actually interact with are from like 1700s, 1800s, even like early 1900s, and the family dynamic was completely different back then. How people acted was completely different back then than it is now.
Right.
And you know, it's not for anything, but I mean, males acted completely differently back then than they do now. And you get a lot of that strong male energy from a lot of the older houses if they're there, and it's it can be a bit daunting, because I'm not there to challenge spirits. I try to just communicate with them. I want them to tell me their stories, and that's
Right.
to me that's the most important thing.
That makes
As
sense. That makes sense. Um, what is the most profound experience for you that you've had with spirit? Or
I
just
would
pick one?
just to pick. I mean, to pick
Just
the
to
first
pick
one off the
one.
top is probably the channeling. It was probably the
Okay.
most interesting one because I had never thought I would experience that. You know, um, I've had interactions with spirits at different locations that were so strong that I would never allow them to channel me in the first place because I don't know what would come out one way or the other.
Mhm.
Um, Interacting with an elemental was definitely interesting. Um,
Okay.
I've had that happen a couple of times, like different ones, and the energy that comes, like like interacting with a regular humanized spirit is a very amazing experience. But then
Yes,
when you interact with a higher level spirit, that's a completely different energy.
it is. I agree.
It's a completely different experience. And getting a
Yeah.
chance to do that is amazing. You know, it's kind of like I haven't gotten to the level where you speak to like directly to angelic spirits. I mean, I know that that's even a little higher than the earthbound ones for sure.
Mhm.
And I'm sure if that ever happens, that would be an amazing experience to me. That's why I'm always open because I want to experience the next part, if that makes sense. I want to
That makes
experience,
sense.
I want to experience everything that we have a chance to do in this realm of existence.
Mhm.
And the more I can learn, the better off I'll be all the way around. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that I have from doing all the spiritual work and learning and meditation and like I've been experiencing dream travel lately, which has definitely
Okay.
been an interesting thing. I don't quite understand all of that one. That one throws me for a loop. I mean, I've done the astral projection where I've actually, hovered above my body and actually seen myself sleeping, and I've actually gone off on a path, and then later on been driving and be like, wait a minute, I've been here before, but not physically. I've traveled there in a different state of being.
Okay. Yeah.
It's sometimes it's hard to wrap around all of the things you go through and then trying to sort it out, and then still trying to stay grounded and still trying to be like, okay, you have to continue on this path because this is where you are now.
Mhm.
Eventually you'll be on that next level. You'll be able to, your energy will take you to whatever the next reality is, whatever the next goals are. And,
Right.
but right now you're still here. You got plenty more years left in the tank, hopefully. And who knows where it'll take you, if that makes any sense. I'm sorry if I'm babbling on, but it definitely, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense, and you're not
Yeah.
babbling on. I asked you the questions.
No, that's okay because sometimes I just keep talking, and sometimes
That's
it leads into one thing, leads into another, and you know,
that's the way it works though, isn't it? Like
It really
that.
is.
Yeah, that's the way it works. And that's how we learn about each other and different experiences. And I just want to address, because at some point somebody's probably going to put into the comments somewhere that it's not safe to be open all the time. But I just want to say whatever works for each individual works for each individual. And we
Right.
don't really need to be judging that. So
Well, you know what?
yeah.
I would almost agree with that to a degree, that
Hmm.
it's probably not safe to be open all the time, because you could be open to attacks from a spirit that may have. I'm not gonna. I never use the D words. That thing never will come into the conversation because it's
Right.
overplayed and. But
Way overplayed. I
yeah.
agree.
But
Yeah.
as far as, are there entities that have negative energy? Of course
Mm.
there are. You know, just like people, not everybody is the nicest person in the world. Not
Right.
every spirit is going to be the nicest person in the world. And it doesn't automatically change the minute you cross from one existence to another. You're not going to go from being a grumpy old guy, or somebody who's just could be a bad person, to, oh, I have an epiphany and we're all going to be all in the same place and everything is happy. No, it doesn't work like that, in my opinion. you
Okay.
know
Yeah.
you know if you're a jerk in life, you're probably going to end up being a jerk on the other side. I mean, you don't automatically get that everybody turns into a being of pure light and happiness. I don't It's hard for me to believe that part, because I've
Mhm.
encountered spirits of multiple different personalities, of multiple different ideals, and it just shows you that they are just as in tune on the other side as they are here, and they are the same person that they were. And not everybody gets this aha moment. I call it an aha moment, but not everybody gets that opportunity to flex. And I do agree with your initial statement that maybe turning it down a little bit, not necessarily shutting it completely off, but maybe dialing it down a little bit and doing a little bit more of a protective barrier might be a good idea in the long run. And as soon as I figure out how to do that, that'd be great. But sometimes my energy is so chaotic, and I'm always on the move and I'm always on the go, that mentally, at least, that
Mhm.
it's hard to find that moment. Once in a while, when I get a chance to actually do my meditation and get my grounding going in, I can feel my energy toning down a little bit. But then, unfortunately, because I deal with like hyper anxiety, sometimes it's right back open and my floodgates open right back up again. I'm like, okay, we need to figure out a happy medium here. You know,
I have a book for you.
uh,
Um, so
I'm sure there must be one out there somewhere.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
Um, so it is interesting though, as we are feeling this multidimensionality, because we are not just physical beings, we are multidimensional beings,
Yes.
right? So we are spirit beings, we are physical beings, we are mental beings. These are all different levels, or I don't know if levels kind of creates a visual, but these are all different aspects of who
Right.
we, right? So I think it's perfectly natural to talk to people in other forms of energy. To me, it just seems like the most natural thing in the world,
I
you know?
agree.
Um, so I am constantly having conversations in my head with other people who are coming and going and talking to me, and I get that. And then sometimes it's like quiet, and when it's quiet, I don't really know what to do with that. Like, I don't.
Yeah, lately, silence is not golden. I can definitely say that. Silence doesn't feel golden sometimes. Silence can take you, because you start talking to yourself in your own head, you enter a different form of spirituality, because you're answering
Right.
your own questions before you ask them. And that turns into
Mhm.
a paradox that I don't quite understand entirely yet either. You know, I, whenever I get to that point, I pick up the old handheld device here and I start scrolling through like TikTok or Reels, or I find things that are interesting. You know, I start watching things that help distract me from conversations.
Your sound is going out. I'm not understanding what you're saying. Your
Oh,
sound is
can you
kinda.
hear me at all?
Now I can hear you, yeah.
Okay,
I
I don't
but
know
I
what
missed
is.
the whole last thing you said, but yeah.
Okay, let me see. Let me dial it back here. So no, what I was saying is when I have those internal conversations, right?
Mhm.
And if I don't want to if I don't want to sit in the silence, I'll use I'll go through social media like reels on TikTok, or I'll go through like Facebook reels or whatever kind of Instagram thing to try to distract myself from trying to have those internal conversations, because then I have the third mind that comes in trying to decipher what's going on in that conversation. And then next thing you know, you get like tensed up, you get anxiety about things, and you start having all sorts of weird stuff going on. And I feel that triggers a lot of like depression or anxiety, or, self-doubt. When you have too much time on your hands to talk to
Mhm.
yourself, it's never really a good thing for the most part.
Right.
I feel like having a goal and being driven and moving in a certain direction helps you avoid what can happen, because I've suffered through anxiety and depression, and I mean, I deal with all those kind of things. I'm not proud to hide it. I'm not going to hide the fact that I dealt with a lot of those things because of family tragedies that I've had in the past and
Mhm.
whatnot. And trying to move forward to it. And going back to why I got involved in the whole podcasting thing in the first place, it makes it so I have drive, I have focus, and when I'm focused, I'm not listening to all the stuff that goes on in my own head, because I'm constantly asking myself questions. I'm constantly trying to work things through. I'm trying to figure out like the next level. Like, okay, what's going on? With all these different planes of existence, because I've had some interesting experiences lately that I can't quite understand. Um, I'll shed one on you, and maybe you can figure out.
Okay.
So I was sitting in my living room watching television, and I had my, all of a sudden I look out in the kitchen, because it's pretty much adjoining, so you can see what's going on out in certain parts of the kitchen. And I see my cat walked by the open um, area and head towards the food dish, and he was out there eating food, right? No
Mhm.
big deal. Problem was, he was sitting in my lap at the
Okay.
same at the exact same time that he was walking across the kitchen and going over and getting something to eat.
Okay.
He was in two different places at the same exact time.
That's interesting because people try to do that. They try to bilocate like that, but your cat just does it naturally.
But I mean, he did. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was on purpose. I don't know if the matrix is broken, so to speak. But
Oh,
because I
it's
looked out,
broken.
because I looked out there and he wasn't out there. But when he first walked by, and you could hear a couple of crunching, like the food they
Mhm.
ate in the bowl, and I looked out and he wasn't there. And why wasn't he there? Because he's sitting in my lap at the time.
Right.
And
Well,
I'm like,
a couple different things popped into my head. So, one
okay,
of them is bilocation, like he was just able to bilocate. Like I said, some people learn to do that. I think some
right,
animals do it naturally. The other thing is a glitch in the matrix,
yes,
where timelines intersected for a brief moment and you
I
were
agree.
able to see it. Yeah.
Mm.
Those are the 2 things that popped into my head that would be happening with that. You just and sometimes the time glitches are yeah, you've had that, right? Time
Yes,
glitches. Yeah. So you could have been if you paid attention to, okay, in this moment he's in my lap, but did he go to his dish a few minutes ago or did he go to his dish a few minutes after that? And did the time glitch happen where it just sort of melded and looked like it was happening at the same time?
yeah. And the time, I mean, I didn't have that. The time glitch didn't happen with him. I had it happen at work, like an
Okay.
actual time glitch, just completely. My clock went backwards 15 minutes while I was on my phone. I watched the time go backwards 15 minutes, and then as soon as I realized that it happened, it shot back forward to the regular time again. And I'm like, why did it do that? That's weird, And I had another instance where I saw somebody walk by me and walk into the elevator behind me as I was walking back down the hallway. I turned to look in the elevator and nobody was in there. It was just an open elevator, but I literally saw somebody walk into the elevator as I was going by. And I thought it was weird. because I didn't see them come through a doorway or anything. They just were walking across, walked into the elevator. The elevator was open. I looked in the elevator and there was nobody in there at all. I'm like, okay, I know something is going on. I know something is really weird. I know people
Yeah.
probably think it's crazy at times because let's be honest, if you don't understand something, you can feel it's a little bit weird, you know?
Hmm. I think
And
that, well, especially in a hospital when you're dealing with so many different levels of reality at the same time,
right.
that could easily happen there. Yeah.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And like as far as like I'm so interested in the different timelines because I'm sure you've been in places where there are spirits in locations. Doesn't even have to be a haunted location, just in regular old places, and they don't see each other because they're in different timelines.
Hmm.
But you know how to communicate with them because you have the ability. But there could be a timeline from the early 1900s. There could be a timeline from the 1800s. There could be a timeline from 2 months ago because somebody passed away and they're hanging around because they, you see all these timelines, you see all these people, but they don't see each other because they're on different wavelengths.
Right.
And
Right. Different
spiritual
frequencies. Yeah.
spiritual wavelengths is a whole different thing. And
Yes, it
I watch,
is.
I've been watching this thing on TikTok from this guy called Bashar. Have you seen Bashar
Oh, yeah.
and I'll be honest with you, the more and more I watch this guy, the more everything he's saying makes sense.
Yes.
At first, I'm like, what on earth is going on? And then the more you watch it, the more you listen to him breaking things down, and the more that I am so fascinated by the take on everything. And it's hard not to agree with the majority of what Bashar has been saying as far
Hmm.
as how he sees and interprets people's behaviors on this earth. And you know, it's like I said, just thinking about it just makes my mind blown. Just because I try to watch whenever something pops up and this concept on human behavior and what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing right now and what you're saying what you're supposed to be saying right now, and it makes you think more. It makes you more
Hmm.
conscientious about everything you're doing, every step you're taking, every interaction you do, every relationship that you have, good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
It's like spiritually, why are you trying to hold on to something that doesn't be in your life anymore, where there are other people who are trying to find their way into your life that might offer more of what you need at that time versus the people who you're trying to reach out to, you haven't heard from in a long time, that have moved on, and sometimes you have a hard time with that part of it.
Right.
And I'm trying to learn now. I'm like, okay, listen, they moved on. You can send a message and move forward from there, but there are people who are trying to move into your existence that may have information or may have conversations that you are interested in.
Yes.
If that makes sense. And
Hmm.
you know I'm trying to lean more towards that now. Like I want to be in the now. And people who want to be part of my life or part of my existence or part of the spirituality and want to engage, that's who I want to be around now. I can't keep chasing those who have moved on to a different path. I can't do that. That's
Yeah.
what they've done. And I can't let it bother me. I can't let it bog me down. I can't let it tarnish what new adventures I'm going to have spiritually, metaphysically, with the clairvoyance or investigations or new guests on the podcast, so to speak, or everything else. So I'm trying to like shift gears, so to speak, and
Hmm.
I'm trying to be more in the now and be mindful of everything around me all at the same time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That's all part of the ascension and growth process.
yeah,
Some people go away, new people come in. And sometimes those new people come in and stay for a while, sometimes for a long while. Sometimes they're there just for the exchange and then they move on again. And the thing is that we're also doing that with other people. We just don't see it from that angle.
right,
That is really a part of the spiritual growth process and part of the ascension process is that as our energy raises, we connect with people who are, around the same frequency. where other people at different frequencies go their own path, we go our own path. I think the hard part is that as humans, we don't let go very easily.
No, of anything, whether
Of
it's an
anything,
argument,
yes.
whether it's an argument, or whether it's a dispute over something, some material item, or whether it's a difference of opinion or something. Yeah, letting things go is something that a lot of people just cannot do, and they have a hard time doing it.
Yeah.
I'm learning more to just do that, and I feel a lot less heavy-hearted by
Mhm.
being able to do that. It's like if somebody did me wrong, I'll let them know it. I'll address it, but I'll let it go after the conversation is done. I'm not going to hold on to it and try to use it an argument later on, because something, life's too short. We're only given a
Yeah.
short amount of time on this physical plane. I mean, obviously, life seems to be infinite through all the multiple planes that we'll probably see after this particular part.
Mhm.
But I want to enjoy as much as I can now on this plane, because
Yeah.
it can be taken from us in an instant. And why not enjoy as much as we can now? Why not enjoy as many people in our lives as we can now? Those who want
Mhm.
to be part of it can be part of it, and those who don't, there's plenty more chapters in their life, and it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And there doesn't even have to be like disagreement. Sometimes people just grow apart, you know?
Oh,
Mm.
yeah, that happens all the time too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It
it's
is
the one,
interesting.
yeah, it's the ones that hold on to just the smallest things, and you can like years later have a conversation and something could go wrong, and then all of a sudden it gets brought back up into it. And like, that was then. This is now.
Mhm.
Concentrate
Yeah.
on now. Don't worry about what happened back then, because you can't go back then and fix it. You can't.
Right. Exactly.
Time. If everybody could time travel backwards, we'd all be millionaires nowadays, and nobody would be worried about money at all.
Right?
Because you could pick a time and go backwards. Be like, you know what? I'm going to buy into Apple stock when it first happened, or I'm gonna get in on inventing Bitcoin, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna buy stocks at a penny a piece that turn into being thousands of dollars later on, and I can be a billionaire.
Right.
That's time travel can, but we can't do that. You
No.
know,
No. But
sometimes
we
you
can
can,
learn.
yeah, sometimes you can experience it in
Mhm.
glimpses through travel, like dream travel, or through you know meditation. You can travel as well, but
Mhm.
you can never change anything. You can go back and witness things. You can go back and see glimpses of times in the past, but you can't physically change anything.
Right.
So why
Exactly.
hold on to it? There's no need to hold on to
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. Speaking of time travel,
Oh, yeah.
all right.
Seeing that I
So
go deep into the philosophical side of things.
I love it. I love it. All of it.
Yeah,
I am actually teaching a group past life regression tonight on
awesome.
Tuesday. So if you see this on Tuesday, you can still get in on it. Just go to my Facebook page. If you're seeing it on Wednesday, sorry you missed it. But we're doing a group past life regression where we're all going to see everybody who shows up. We're going to find where we've all met each other before.
That's cool. It's
Yeah.
very cool.
So yeah, so that'll be fun, but you brought up time travel, and I'm like, "Oh, thanks for the caveat."
Yes, I know, huh? Especially, you know, that's really cool. I've never dove into the past life regression, because I don't know what it's going to unearth, and or if it will unearth anything at all. I mean, some
Right.
people are new souls, and this is their first dive in. Oh,
Oh, yeah, what time
what
tonight?
time
Good
tonight?
question, yeah, it's 7:30 Central, so 8:30 Eastern,
Yeah,
6:30 Mountain, 5:30 Pacific, so and if you're outside the United States, you're on your own figuring out time.
exactly. I have a hard enough time figuring out what things happen on the Eastern Coast, for God's sake, let alone anything else. Oh my
So,
God,
it should be a fun class, but the event is in Facebook with all the signups and everything, so it's on the, Christina L. Bloom page, so, yeah, it'll
that's
be
awesome.
fun. Yeah,
I
it'll be
hope I hope
fun.
that I hope that event goes well for you, because I mean, it's a
Yeah,
very interesting topic, because you never know what's going to come up when
right,
you're trying to go backwards, when you're trying to deep dive
right.
into your own personal experiences. You know,
Well, and this is set up to be a fun class because
right.
it's really all about, hey, where have we met before? Where do I know you from? Why do you look so familiar to me? Why do you feel so familiar to me? So it's that kind of a thing where it's, have we traveled together before? And if so, when and where?
Have
S-
our souls connected, and who knows if it's on this plane or a different plane. And
Yeah,
you might know somebody from a different plane, and then when you come to this physical one, you went on your
yeah.
separate ways, and it's kind of weird how things come back around.
And
You
I've
know,
had that happen. But as far as not knowing what's going to happen, we don't know what's going to happen in our own lives later today. So
yeah, that is true. Live the moment. That's what I'm gonna say.
live the
Live the
moment.
moment.
Yes, yes, live the moment. And I want to thank everyone for sharing these moments with us because this has been a great conversation and you have been an amazing guest. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on
Well,
to my show and be a
thank
guest.
you. Thank you for the
And
opportunity to come on here and hang out with you today. I'm very proud to have you as part of the Twisted Tales and the whole Wicked Wednesdays family. We've been
thank
working
you.
on getting that. I always bring it back to that because it's important to let everybody know that part of the All Access Network, we have a great thing going where between yourself and Paranormal Unveiled with Nate, and then Twisted Tales with myself on Wednesdays, it has a very intriguing and very varying lineup for people who might be interested in multiple different things to come on and watch during the course of the day. So,
Right, right.
you know,
So, again, thank you so much. And next week, depending on the feedback that we get, will either not be a show for my show, or there will be a replayed show. So, thank you everyone for tuning in, for listening, and for sharing your feedback. And we'll see you again soon.
sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.